Well, let's get into who Sam Dancer is off the competitive floor. From my understanding, you're an entrepreneur, obviously a family man. Um, where did you grow up?
I grew up in Quincy, Illinois,
Okay.
which is where I'm at right now. This is my hometown. Raised here my entire life. Um, Went to school not too far from here in college school. I went to high school here, obviously, and then I went to Western Illinois University in Macomb, which is like an hour down the street. Um, and then after that, got married to Jenny, my wife. We moved to Ohio like 2 weeks after. It was like right after we got married. We moved. It was no, it was the next day we moved to Ohio after we got married. And
Wow.
then we moved to outside of San Francisco. Actually, I was just joking with her downstairs, and I was like, "Dang, Jenny, in the past 3 years, we've lived in three houses in Quincy, Illinois, and we've lived in three houses in San Diego.
Oh God.
Um, so in the past 3 years, we've lived in six different places." And she's like, "Yeah, now you understand maybe why like someone with some OCDs is always tripping out when you're just like constantly moving around and getting uprooted."
Yeah.
But yeah, we move around quite a bit. But I'm in like my actual home right now, which is new for us. We we've typically lived out of suitcases and rentals
Mhm.
um, majority of our time together, and now we finally have a an actual house where we can put our stuff and um, call home and whatnot. So
Yeah.
yeah,
There's a season for that. Like you were saying earlier, there's seasons to life, right?
yeah.
How long have you owned Q-Town Fitness for? Or is it Q-Town Fitness or Q-Town CrossFit?
It was formerly Q-Town CrossFit. It had nothing to do with like any of the whatever that was with Greg. Um, it was just honestly a business decision that we thought was going to benefit us. We thought the CrossFit name was more harmful
Mhm.
than good. Um,
That's the decision we made here at Legacy Athletic.
yeah, and dude, I've done everything that I could to keep my name out of our gym. I never wanted anyone to even really know what I was doing competitively because I
Mhm.
didn't want that to be assumed that's how we were training and that's what we were doing. Because it's not. It's like, I don't like it when people come into my gym thinking I'm going to make them walk on their hands, do ring muscle ups and overhead squat.
Yeah.
Uh, I'm like, not going to make you do that. And I'm like, can you? Like, can you walk on your hands? Like,
Yeah.
no.
Yeah.
I If you can't walk on your hands, like I can't make you walk on your hands. And I was just like, I don't want to be up against that. And for the longest time, gosh, it just like no one even really knew that I competed, but still people were familiar with CrossFit through what they were seeing on the TV. Um, and man, the second we removed that name, there was like a little influx of people that um, we were kind of always hoping and waiting for. Our membership would just always float around. I'm just going to make up a generic number, let's say 100 people. And then we removed the CrossFit name, and then in come 25 more people. Now we're at 125 members. Percentage, that's a good percentage of
Yeah.
membership. Uh, and yeah, so I think we made a good decision there. Sometimes I go back and forth with it because I CrossFit is important to me, and I there's a special place in my heart for it, and I do admire what they're working to achieve. and I have worked and like consulted with CrossFit and even talked about doing like specialty courses and stuff with them before, and um, always talking about like partnerships and things of that nature. So, but also at the same time, it's not contingent. I can still have a relationship with CrossFit. I can still have partnerships with CrossFit. I can still do specialty courses with CrossFit and not own a CrossFit gym.
Right.
And we do things that are very similar to CrossFit. We do, but I there's aspects to CrossFit that I don't think, or maybe it's more so the culture
Mm.
of CrossFit, that I don't want in my gym.
That's interesting
I
you say that, because we've in our area, we've seen many CrossFit gyms fall apart. CrossFit gyms, right? And I think one of the interesting things that I see is, one, people correlate the CrossFit name with the sport, not necessarily what CrossFit was originally intended for, which was health and fitness, right? But then I think, there's something to that where the CrossFit community is incredible, but kind of like what you're saying, not having that certain culture in the gym. I'm curious what your thoughts are on that.
Yeah, just it it's tough, dude, because there's a lot of great things about the culture, about the attitudes, about the mindset, about the training and the sport and all these things. There's a lot of great things to it. But I just I feel like it's, even though it's special and it's done amazing things, I feel like it's done some harm.
Mhm.
Um, even just something as simple as like the leaderboard,
Yeah.
scoring workouts. Does that make workouts more intense? 100%. Definitely makes people try harder,
Mhm.
for sure. Now, is that always a good thing? I
Right.
would argue that it's not. I would say that there's days that you need to not be competitive and you need to chill out and you need to just go at a pace that is nourishing to you.
Mhm.
And there's also just movements and stuff within CrossFit. Like I don't really program like kipping handstand push-ups in my gym. I don't want people compressing their neck on the floor. So like if you can't do a strict
Mhm.
stand push-up, like you're probably just going to be doing normal push-ups in my gym, or like some strict presses or something like that.
Mhm.
Um, and I don't do a ton of like super complex barbell stuff. Do a lot more dumbbell work,
Yeah.
and like I just don't think that most people need to be snatching a barbell.
Very risky.
and
Yeah.
and yeah, so just stuff like that, dude. Even the leaderboards even cause some issues for us, you know,
When
with
you
just
have
people
people.
become fixated on it, to the point that they might cheat, they will shorten or shave ranges of motion, just for a score, and that just doesn't that's not cool to me. So yeah, I mean, I could go into all the nuances about it, but it's just, and because there's issues when you completely remove all that stuff too. Like for instance, because I've because I've I didn't want that type of attitude and mindset and culture in my gym, where people are getting uber competitive and pushing it too hard and slamming their heads into the ground. And I just wanted people to move and move to feel good. And I allowed for a lot of freedom in that area.
Mhm.
Um, People, generally speaking, if you give them the freedom to move however they want to move, they're going to err most often than not on the side of caution, and they're not going to push themselves too hard. So cool, the scoring and the leaderboard pushes people. You remove that, and now all of a sudden people don't push themselves. So it's
There's a balance.
there is, and it's a kind of a crapshoot. And I don't know that one's works better than the other. But I have noticed, like, because I chose this side, I'm up against having to constantly encourage people to, like, hey, you can squat at least to, you know, the depth of a toilet.
Yeah.
Like, that seems reasonable. And you're not. And those conversations are kind of like annoying, but I've created that for myself and it's my fault. So I would say that I like that better. The approach of not going hard enough or not pushing enough, than pushing too hard, because you can always add more salt. You
Right.
can always make something saltier, but you can't unsalt it. Like, so I can't uninjure someone. I can't, you know, I can't uncompress your herniated disc. But like, I'm okay with it. Like, if I have to just tell people to try a little harder for the rest of my days, like, whatever, cool. I'd rather do that, even though it's kind of annoying sometimes, because you want people to just kind of take that their own, initiative and be like, dude, I like don't rely on me to to do hard things, or to encourage you to do hard things. That sounds probably kind of mean. Again, like I said, I'll still do it. But I dug that hole myself.
Always think
I'm
you wish you would have done different, or that's business ownership, right? Like, you're never going to get it perfect. The key is design it the best you can, and the best, and towards the vision you have for it, right? And those things figure themselves out. Maybe you pivot again at some point. You never know.
Yeah.
No, I like that. And that is something that is, the leaderboard is something that, yeah, pushes people, but it also pushes people to be competitive every day. And I've had to quit looking at it myself, because sometimes it's like, you know what? I just need to nose breathe this workout today and slow myself down. Personally, I never, well, I don't know for sure, because I never got my levels tested, 4 or 5 years ago. But when I got into CrossFit is when I started trying to, like, I started losing energy and not feeling myself, and, pushing myself every single day, 6 days a week. My test levels dropped to like 317 when I was 30 years old. I'm like, that doesn't make sense. It's like, I'm healthy, I'm active, I have muscle mass. And, I've recently just started forcing myself to nose breathe more workouts, because I know that I'm not going to slow myself down otherwise. So I do that, and it's helped drastically, and I'm still doing the work. Still enjoying the work, but that's the other thing. I'm enjoying it more because I don't feel as depleted all the time. So
Yeah, that'll forge some mental resilience as
mhm.
well. The heart rate is also another really good one to keep yourself in check.
Mhm.
Um, but yeah, the nose is a great governor as well.